Welcome to the Fit Strength Performance Podcast, where you will be informed, educated, and empowered in order to take charge and take action so you can reach your athletic and/or fitness goals. The only way for you to get stronger, faster, and better conditioned is to be consistent every day, all year long, doing things that will ensure your mind and body are strong and resilient. If you're ready to make changes, then let's go. Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mark Bruce back at you with the Fit Strength Performance Podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about improving your vertical jump. This is going to be a number of series of episodes highlighting what can be done in order to improve your vertical jump. So this is going to be part one, and the topic is going to be slow down and get strong. You know, I work with a lot of basketball players, volleyball players, even the football players or baseball players that are coming in. You know, we're testing their metric, right? We're looking at, how well do they jump based on, their ability, because it's going to measure their power output. When we look at athletics, it's about speed, it's about force. It's also about how fast can you produce force, but then reaccelerate that force into a direction. So this is why we look at athletes vertical, because it's going to give us a good idea as far as, are they athletic and what we need to work on? Because we have our athletes that are very force driven, they can load the muscle well, they can move very strong. And then we have those twitchier athletes that they just might need to move slower and develop deeper ranges of motion. So they're not getting these soft tissue injuries and not getting hurt early on. So part one is slow down and get strong, because, if you look at a lot of athletes nowadays, they're just going. Now, if I identify these basketball players and volleyball players, I just had this conversation with a colleague of mine. AU seems to have, hit the ground running the minute the season has ended. Kids are practicing 2 to 4 times a week. They have anywhere from 4 to 6 games on the weekend. And, what that means is, they're going and going. They're working on these same traits that's going to help them be successful in the game, but what we do know is when you're doing the same cyclic motion over and over again, you're just wearing out your body. And, in order to jump higher, right, you need to regenerate, you need to recover, you need to start building up that engine, in order for you to be a forceful, powerful, robust athlete. So slowing down doesn't mean that you shouldn't play basketball. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't jump. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing these activities, because if you're a basketball player or volleyball player, jumping is very important in your position. You don't want to not jump for weeks on weeks, because then you may lose the things that you're good at when it comes to jumping. But it also means that you need to slow down and not jump as much as you're jumping, so you can really refine and tweak those areas that are inhibiting you from being the athlete that you want to become. For example, a simple one is an athlete after the season, they have knee pain. And it's probably just because it's overused. Their tendons are worn out from a long season. So if you don't slow down, right, your knee pain isn't going to go away. And guess what's going to happen? There's going to be this psychological pull on you when it's time to jump really high. And then when that tendon wears out, your body's going to find a way to lessen that blow in that area so you compensate, right? So this is where you may see more athletes driving their hips back further and further, where their chest falls to the ground, where their knees no longer go over their toes, because flexing at the knee to a greater degree of range of motion could cause more of that patellar inflammation, that pain. So the body doesn't want to do it. So you just learn how not to push your knees forward, and then you start to stiffen up your ankles. And then you start to get this anterior pelvic tilt, which can inhibit your ability to produce force and develop this propulsive ability. So for athletes like that, if you're someone that's sitting there, listening like, yeah, I'm still dealing with knee pain from the season. Well, if you reduce that knee pain and then you go out and play that sport, you probably feel great and you're jumping better than you ever have done before. But unfortunately, you haven't rebuilt that engine. You haven't gotten away from that tendinopathy, that patellofemoral pain. And then it comes back even worse because you took a break and then you just jumped back guns blazing with that. So when I say slow down, I mean pull back from the increased volume of jumping, but maintain the stiffness in the feet, maintain that cyclic ability at a lower level. So this would include lower level plyos, isometric movements where you're getting, that calf raise, where you're getting that dorsal flexion, plantar flexion of the ankle, where you're working on, still hopping, jumping, skipping at a lower level because you want your tendons to also build. And the best way to build tendon strength and tendon health is loading the tendon. So by you slowing down, but still maintaining, the ability to hop, skip, and jump, right? You're still putting stress into the tendon, which in turn is going to allow the tendon to handle the cyclic nature of sport. So when you go out and jog and run or play basketball, right, you aren't so far away from that activity that your body goes into shock. So that's going to be that first piece. So for a lot of my athletes, we're doing these, bridge movements where we're pumping the ankle. We're doing these split squat movements where we're pumping the ankle because these isometrics will help strengthen the tendon. Then we're hopping, we're skipping, we're doing A skips, B skips, karaoke, low-level plyos, low-level pogo hops with a resistance band, just to maintain that ability to load the tendon, but at a lower level so it's not causing too much stress. And then as the weeks go on, you start adding in more volume, adding in more stress, adding in more complicated and complex plyos. But again, you're building that engine up again. And then get strong. The research shows that when you put load on that tendon, it builds that tendon up. Now, that doesn't mean you go out and you try to hit a PR. Or it doesn't mean that you go out and you try to hit a PR on that trap bar, deadlift, or squat. It just means that you provide enough stress that there's blood flow in the damaged area or the area you're trying to improve to help you with jumping, but it's not causing any pain or discomfort. So that could be like a trap bar deadlift off blocks and you're going, slower tempo, or even you're going overcoming isometrics and you're hitting reps of 5. And every week you're going to increase weight. So for me, for someone who's coming into the gym, whether you have pain or don't have pain, that first week, I'm not worried about you hitting a PR. I'm not worried about you, maxing out. I'm more so worried about you not causing pain and not shocking the system at such a high degree that when you come back next week, we have to lift the same amount of weight or we have to drop 10 to 20 pounds because you were just fried for days on end. So it's that acclimation of building the engine, so for someone, like for me, for example, I'm trying to get back under that deadlift and really build that number up again. So what I did is once, I deadlifted once a week and I made sure that first week I just hit a easy set of 6. I felt good. I had a good sweat. My heart rate was up. I felt my quads. I felt my glutes. I felt like I really stimulated my body, but I didn't OD. I didn't hit the heaviest in the world. And then the next week I did sets of 5. Then the next week I did one set of 4. And then I finally got up to 405 for a smooth, easy 4 reps. But again, I haven't lifted that heavy, in a couple weeks, trying to rebuild up that capacity. And the same thing goes for you athletes out there trying to jump higher. You want to stimulate, not annihilate. And loading the tendon with some weight is helpful, but you don't want to feel pain while you're doing it. And you want to stay below that 3 or 4 discomfort. And then once you get there, then you want to start working in deeper ranges of motion to help improve movement. So for me, some of my athletes are doing a really high box step down, or maybe they're doing a rear foot elevated split squat holding, getting more depth, or they're doing a, some type of front foot elevated lunge or split squat with their heel elevated to really get some knee flexion to provide blood flow to the damaged site and or just blood flow to those muscles because they're probably worn out from the season and you lost strength and size. So we want to build size so you have a nice, strong, tough engine. So you can jump higher, but also jump that same height over and over again for a longer duration next season. So we start building in those deeper ranges of motion. So just to recap, what I'm talking about in this episode is slow down and get strong. That's really going to help you feel good when you're playing and feel confident when you're playing. And that's so important. That confidence that you can explode up to the rim is going to be so very, very important when you're out in the court and trying to jump higher. Because if you think, jumping off one leg or jumping off two and trying to get as high as I can could cause some pain, you're going to second guess yourself. And then when you get to the game, right, you aren't going to be you're going to be overly confident because you got your adrenaline going. Your body feels good. You're going to be playing at a high level. And then boom, right, you're going to explode to a height or a position that your body wasn't used to because in the practices and sessions before, psychologically, you weren't really ready to jump like that. But because you're in a competition and you want to perform your best, and there could be coaches in the stand, right, you just OD'd it and really crushed your body. And that could be an injury. It could be a hip, a back, could be an ACL, MCL, something. Could be a bad ankle sprain, something that keeps you sidelined. So this is why when you slow down, you don't stop doing the athletic movements. You just have to dose it accordingly so you're not causing pain, but you're not overdoing it. And then you need to get strong. You need to rebuild those tendons. You need to rebuild some size and some strength because, at the end of the day, we're not preparing you for that one AAU tournament. We're preparing you either for that AAU tournament where you're going to have coaches or next season where you're going to be that starter in varsity and coaches may be knocking at your door or coming to check you out and play. And they see that you're a durable, you're an explosive, and you're a well-rounded athlete. So I hope that information helped. Stay tuned. I got a great offer and a great event coming up for any of you athletes interested in jumping higher. Again, this is Mark Bruce with Fit Strength Performance. Comment, like, share with a teammate or friend. It really helps us spread the word about what we're doing and how we can help athletes. Hey, everyone, I have a great offer for you. On April 26th from 6 to 7 p.m., myself and physical therapist of Rock Physical Therapy, Dr. Sean Rutherford, and owner Mike Stewart, we're going to host an event called How to Increase Your Vertical. Plain and simple. This is for athletes, for parents, for coaches, anyone interested in learning and finding out ways on how they can increase their vertical. Show up at Fit Strength Performance. You can sign up by heading to our Instagram page, fitstrength_performance, and clicking the link in the bio. Again, this is going to be April 26th from 6 to 7 p.m. It's $25, only 12 attendees. It's going to be hands-on. You're going to learn a whole lot of information on how to increase your vertical. Again, don't miss out. It's going to be at Fit Strength Performance. So head to our Instagram account, fitstrength_performance, to learn more about this event.